have Steve Adubato. It's my pleasure to introduce once again, by popular demand, we have Michele Siekerka, President of the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Steve. Thank you.
Ready to talk business?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about a whole bunch of issues, key issues affecting not just the business community, because if it affects the business community, it affects all of us, right?
That is true.
There's one issue that you and your organization have talked about that I don't care who you are in the state, but sooner or later we're all going to die.
Yes.
Yeah, let's start off with that great topic. We have what is called an estate tax and an inheritance tax. One of only two states that have both. Maryland is the other state. What are they and why are they so critically important?
Well, they're important to business because when businesses do succession planning, well, let's take a step back. Think about New Jersey.
What are they?
Well, think about New Jersey business, okay? New Jersey business on the whole, small business, generational. Many, many times you meet people who are third and fourth generation business in the state of New Jersey. When business folks do their succession planning, now they have to stop and think about estate and inheritance tax. Estate tax, obviously, when you are inheriting, so think about you're inheriting your family business, you're going to get taxed. Estate tax is when you die, your estate gets taxed. So it's a double whammy. We are an outlier in that we have dual death taxes in the state of New Jersey.
Back up.
Sure.
Dual death taxes.
Dual death taxes. Two hits. Your estate gets hit and the person who is inheriting gets hit. So
what do we want to do away with?
Well, we'd like to see them both go.
Not going to happen.
No, not going to happen. But for starters, let's take one and let's start a phase-in. Let's take the estate tax and let's start phasing in relief on estate tax. Every year we hear more and more, and Steve, you hear it every day, individuals saying in their retirement, I'm getting ready to leave the state of New Jersey.
So they don't have to pay one of the taxes.
Correct.
Or both. Real quick, devil's advocate, Assembly Speaker Vincent Prieto said to us on our sister program with Rafael P. Roman, my colleague, he said, great idea, here's the problem. The revenue that comes from that tax, $300–400 million. In fact, he also said it at the New Jersey Business and Industry Association Forum.
Yes.
He said that's revenue the state needs to close the budget gap. Great idea, but the problem is if we do away with that tax, we don't get that revenue. You say?
I say let's look back over the last decade and let's look at the income that we've lost and why we have a gap. Okay, so let's talk some statistics. Between 2000 and 2010, $15 billion of taxable income left the state of New Jersey.
What do you mean left the state? People left?
Yes. And when a person leaves, let's take a businessman who leaves the state of New Jersey, businesswoman, what does she take with her? She takes with her her business income and her personal income that we now can't tax. That leaves the general fund coffers. 44% of business is responsible for property tax in the state of New Jersey. They're not paying that property tax anymore. That's out of the general fund. That's out of the coffers. Their spending power. Think about a business person who grew their affluence through their business in the state of New Jersey. They're not spending that money in the state of New Jersey. And what about the employees that they're leaving behind when they take the business somewhere else? So I understand a gap of $400 million today, but you know what? We wouldn't have that gap if we stopped people leaving the state over the last decade.
Real quick, a couple things. Why are you against paid sick leave?
Paid sick leave is yet another mandate on business that makes us uncompetitive as a state and drives up the cost of doing business. So this isn't about, everybody wants to say, I don't want someone sneezing on my pizza. We get that. 70% of New Jersey businesses provide paid sick leave for their employees, 70%.
But Michele, respectfully, what about the ones who don't? And then you have those people coming to work who aren't well and they get other people sick. You don't want that. No. I don't want that. And so why not have the government mandate that you can't do it?
How about paradigm shift? How about that we incentivize good business practices? It's about competition, Steve, right? We provide good welfare programs for employees because it's what makes us competitive as a company. That means when we're competitive as a company, we drive sales, we drive profits, we're successful, okay?
Don't have the government mandate it?
No, have the government reward best practices because those who don't provide it, they're not going to get a workforce because the workforce is going to be driven to the companies that have the programs, okay? Eventually, they're either going to go out of business or you know what? How about we go after the guys who don't have it, but go after them. What we do in the state of New Jersey is we legislate to the exception to the rule and we bring all the good guys along with us.
All right, real quick on this. I was getting ready for the interview today. Look at this. It happens to be, I guess, it's the Record or the Ledger? Or the Ledger. Star Ledger. Wage growth in New Jersey continues to be problematic. You ready for this? Wages, even for those who get jobs, right? Wages not going up because?
Well, Okay, another mandate, though. We just put in a new minimum wage mandate in the state that's going to go up every year with COLA. No, it's another mandate on business. You know, every time we put a mandate on business, we drive up cost because with every mandate comes paperwork, the need to report. And you know what? You know, the governor talks all the time about how he's done a great job, Governor Christie, about bringing down the size of government. I got to tell you, there aren't people in government who can enforce all these mandates that want to be put on business. So we put in mandates that drive up costs, drive up paperwork. We have to change all of our programs, our policies, our back office, our data, how we report things. And we're reporting to people who, you know, oftentimes aren't going to have the opportunity to come out and enforce these things either. So on the wage side, you know, I understand what this article may be saying, but I tell you, we just created 12,000 new jobs in New Jersey in January. 12,000 new jobs. We're coming off of 2 years of positive economic growth in the state of New Jersey.
We're not where you want us to be, Michele. Neither is, and the governor says as well. We're lagging behind the country in terms of job creation because?
Well, because we've had a rough couple of years in New Jersey. Now, I think the good news is we are on the upward trajectory.
You really believe that?
I absolutely do. We just came off of 2 years of slow and steady increase, sales, profits, and jobs, okay, albeit slow and steady, okay? Now, we're coming into 2015. Businesses tell us that they are cautiously optimistic for another good year. They are ready to reach in their pocket and invest and spend money. They're just looking for positive economic signals from our policymakers. Governor's given them that in his budget address. Governor said, Governor Christie, no new taxes.
What about the millionaire's tax? Real quick before I let you out of here. Millionaire's tax. Senate President Steve Sweeney in our series again on Capitol Report with legislative leaders, he said, we need this millionaire's tax. Tax the millionaires. Only on income, not the first million, but after that. Bad idea, good idea?
Well, who it impacts, again, is small business. You know, small business will be directly hit on a millionaire's tax. I think in 2015, we have to talk about what is the definition of a millionaire in the state of New Jersey. You want to get after the really affluent people? That's not a millionaire in New Jersey. Think about the cost of living in the state of New Jersey. Steve, if you are fortunate enough to own a house in North Jersey, it's probably $500,000. If you were a smart guy during your business and you put away into your 401k, guess what? You're a millionaire. You're probably not living high on the hog and going on big vacations and taking 4 weeks off and, you know, riding your jet ski. You were just doing the right thing. So how do we define a millionaire in 2015 as the place to start? It's not $1 million. You're going to be impacting small business.
Michele Siekerka, who is the president of the New Jersey Business Industry Association. Good stuff. Thank you so much, Michele.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Stay with us. We're right back right after this. Thank you, Michele.